Hello and welcome to Shooting Up North Stars of Tomorrow podcast. Joining me today is a gentleman who's been making a name for himself on the Maritimes pro wrestling scene. You can see him in Kaizen Pro Wrestling. Very happy to welcome to the show, Ian Pratt. Ian, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lewis, buddy. Appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure, my pleasure. So first question, it looked pretty fun. You were doing shooting star presses into foam blocks. So tell me a little bit about that. You looked like you were having a blast.
So, to be able to do it, we called it a gainer, just off diving boards, but it was always that one thing I could never figure out or do. I've been trying to do it since I was 14 or so.
Okay.
And what's 14 to 36, right? So me and my little guy who's upstairs, we go to a trampoline. And I just decided one day, you know what, let's figure this out. And it turned out all I really had to do was lean back and keep leaning back and not panic and freak out. And it worked out fine. And then after I figured that out, there it is. It's cool as hell. It's like wanting to do it at 14 and waiting until 36 to get it was just, it's neat, you know.
Yeah, no,
never too late for that kind of stuff.
Good job. So is that your new finishing move, the shooting star press?
Oh, no. I'm not busting that out anytime soon. So I did try it once in practice and we set it up safely enough just in case I panicked in midair, and that's exactly what happened. So I freaked out a little bit in the air. I came down on my head, but we had a crash mat set up with a bit of elevation. That way it would lower me down so I wasn't hurt or anything like this. But it's going to be quite a while before I think about that. And plus, if I'm going to, I'll let you know ahead of time. It'll be pretty cool. But
all right, sounds good.
I think it would be an awesome thing. I've always wanted to do that. It's one of those moves people just seem to really enjoy, probably because it's dangerous, but I love it. It's pretty awesome.
Well, I'm sure you'll be using it in a match before you know it. You'll be using it in a match. So the last Kaizen Pro Wrestling show, you and Greaser took on Mya Malek, Damian Spades, and it appeared Greaser kind of abandoned you at the end of that match. You went for a tag, you jumped off the ring apron. What's going on there? You guys, I know you guys are a team. Are you guys breaking up, or what's going on there?
So I don't know if team's the right word. It's more so I can be bought pretty easily. Like, let's be real here. I'm not proud and I don't have that much honor. And Greaser had a bit of money there.
Okay.
But it looked like he got a little bit afraid, and it ended up being that I took the brunt of that. So we'll be talking sometime soon, I think. But yeah, I don't know if it's afraid more so. Nah, I wasn't afraid. He wouldn't be afraid. He had stuff to do.
Okay.
He had stuff to do. And so then I ate a couple things and stared at the ceiling for a while, contemplating life.
So we're not going to see Greaser against Ian Pratt anytime soon, or will we? Are you looking for a measure of revenge, or?
Maybe.
Okay.
We'll see. I'm not really too sure right now. Something might be coming down the pipes, but we'll see there for that.
Okay. Well,
it'd be an interesting time to have if we did, but it'd be awesome. Like Greaser's style, everything Greaser does and everything just complexes me because it works so well and I can't figure it out.
Okay.
So having a match with that would just be fantastic. It'd be awesome.
I think it would be a great one. And you mentioned you took a few things at the end of that match. You took a Canadian Destroyer from Mya Malek. How are you feeling right after that Canadian Destroyer?
I don't think I was feeling anything. I was just kind of laying there, just down, wondering what I've been deciding in my life as of late. And she jumped down and off we went. And that was, the crowd seemed to enjoy it. So that was good.
Yeah, you got a good pop there. So your thoughts on Mya Malek? Mya Malek, I think, very, very talented. But your thoughts on Mya Malek?
Oh, I love Mya Malek there. She's absolutely fantastic. One of the first people I met around from the area and everything else. We've hung out. We've went out to sushi, done stuff. Her style with just all of her flippy stuff and the luchador and everything else. It's awesome. It's fun in the sense that when we talk about like matches and stuff, she's small enough that I can pick her up and just throw her around if I wanted to. But those two styles of mine just kind of brute force, and her just being quick as anything and able to do whatever she wants to. It's a dream match of mine that we're just going to have a singles match and just go. Like, I'd be super stoked for that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think you against Mya Malek would be a fantastic match. The clash of styles would be just fantastic. And you said it's a dream match. Hopefully it happens soon.
Oh yeah, no, I'm up for that. I'd be absolutely stoked to do that. It'd be great.
All right, so let's go back to the beginning. How did you become interested in professional wrestling, and how did you end up at the Kaizen Academy?
So right from the beginning, I was a giant wrestling fan as a kid. I just was. I think most of us that do it were. And, me and my buddies be out in the backyard on a bunch of soggy mattresses, just doing backyard stuff. Actually, one of my buddies that I did that with is an announcer for a different company. So it's just kind of neat how life turns out.
Okay.
And I got out of a relationship there a while back. And I was like, all right, well, what am I going to do with myself now? And I was like, well, let's try it out. So I looked around and I got a hold of Covey. We started talking. I went down and started training there, and the rest is kind of history. It's just, I can't remember how I found Kaizen, to be honest. Somebody mentioned his name and I reached out, and that was it. And then I started going to training and it took off from there.
So I always like to ask. I had Justine Ward on. I had Justin Moyer on. So tell me about your first day of training. I always like to ask the first day of training. How did you take to it? How did you feel after the first bump? What were you feeling after the first day of training was over?
After the day was over, it was just like awesome because, it's like, holy crap, I'm finally getting to do this. I started late in life, but getting into the ring and you start learning roles and stuff, and you start actually realizing that it's not as simple as what you thought it was when you were 14 out in the yard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was more so, I took my first bump and surprisingly, it was great. I was like, that's not really bad at all, And we did like we did our roles, running the ropes, stuff like this. And it was just, I wish I could remember more. My memory is usually pretty bad for a lot of things, but I just remember coming out of that and being like, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, I cannot wait to keep doing this. And we went over some basics like lockups. We did some rolls. We did everything else. And we still start all of our practices with that. And it's just, that was my start. I was in the second class. So there was a few of us in there. You mentioned you had Justine on there as well. Justine and I started together. It was my first singles match was with Justine. So that was awesome.
Okay.
And it was just an incredible feeling, and I was just hooked from it since then.
Yeah. So I guess after that first day, you knew without a doubt that you wanted to be a professional wrestler. You started a little late. I know. I hope I'm okay to bring this up, but you started.
Oh, you're more than fine to bring that up.
Okay, because a lot of wrestlers started like 18, 19, 20. You started a little later in life. So how old were you, if I may ask? And do you kind of wish maybe you started a little earlier, if that's okay to ask as well?
Yeah, no, that's fine to ask. So I think I was 35 when I was 35 when I started. So just turning 35 maybe or so. And I kind of think about like, would I have wanted to start this sooner in life? But the realistic part of it, I was not like a smart 20-something-year-old. You know what I mean? I would have, life wasn't in the best place then. And I feel like if I would have started back then, I might have just screwed it up for myself. I didn't have the right mindset for it. It could have went worse than it did now. So I was actually pretty happy to start now because I had that bit of a pullback on, hey, maybe you shouldn't try this, or maybe you shouldn't, you know what I mean?
No. Good point. Yeah.
And that's exactly it. It's Covey still reins me in quite a bit for that because, I see something. I'm like, I want that. That's mine now, and he's like, let's wait a while on that one. No, it's starting later, I think, was probably, if I could have the mind now and the body of when I was younger, absolutely. But no, I was just not in a good place to do that. My 20s was just a giant party stage and everything else. And I'm happy starting where I did.
Yeah. That's fair. So your first impression of Covey Christ as a trainer? I know Covey Christ. I've been a fan of Covey Christ for a very, very long time as a wrestler. But your first impressions of him as a trainer?
First impressions was just frig, the guy's passionate about this. Like we got in there, and even on our first practice day, he's showing us the roles and all that. And you just think like, frig, the guy makes this look easy. And then he never really lets you think that either. He'll constantly run you. I've been doing this forever. Like, of course it looks easy. But as training went on, it was a really neat thing to notice that he dealt with students differently. Something that might work for somebody as far as explaining or doing something might not work for somebody else.
Sure.
I've got pretty bad ADHD. I have since I was a kid. And I ask a lot of questions. I need to know like specifics because I'm not great with kind of gray zone area stuff. Like, so why do we do this exactly? What's the reasoning behind it? Some people don't need to ask stuff like that. But for me, it helps me to understand it better and everything. And he's insanely patient with that. I ask a lot of questions, like all the time. His ability to adapt to what a student needs to be able to thrive is bar none. I've never met somebody better in like my career or anything. It's fantastic.
Well, when I first saw you, I saw you in the scramble match. Was that your first? Was that your first match?
Yeah, that was my
Okay.
first match.
Yeah, I was speaking with Justine as well, and that was Justine's first match as well. Great match. It's the first time I saw you. The moment I saw you, I'm thinking this guy is a badass suplex guy, and you were suplexing people, and now you're dressing as a badass. Was that your plan all along, or is that something that you and Covey came up with, or?
So originally, like growing up, my heroes were Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle. Like those were the two I idolized growing up there. And it's kind of neat though, because once you get into it and you start realizing how the business works, because I wanted to be like, well, I can do suplexes, but I also want to 450 people and stuff. And it's like, well, that's not really how this works. You know what I mean? Like, why would you be pulling that off when you have aerial type people? You know, it could take away everything like this. But I wanted to be the suplexy type. And with Kaizen in the area here, like I'm only about 5'8", 185 pounds, but I'm actually not all that much smaller than the average, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So it's still viable, but yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to be. I can be a giant goof a lot too. Like that's the way I am, but I'm pretty good at putting on the serious face, and I like that kind of character. So when I first came out there with the spandex piece on and everything else like that, like I like that look. I like the idea of the character, just kind of not talk as much, just get in and start hitting and stuff. And now I'm doing it with the turtleneck and the dress pants just because I don't actually remember why I wanted that look, but I like that look and I think it works for me. And I was like, okay, I'll just be like some kind of dressy, punch you in the face and throw you around type. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it just slowly evolved into that. I've still got my singlet and everything upstairs, like ready to bust out if I ever need to. But
sure, I was thinking now Taz. I'm sure you're familiar with Taz.
Oh yeah,
Taz, 5'8" as well, also a suplex guy. Was he an inspiration to you at all?
I did like Taz a lot growing up too. Like especially like when he first came in and beat Kurt Angle, I was like happy pissed, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like it was just great. But I like that, like the small guy just grabbing people and throwing them around and stuff. One of the things I had to realize though is with wrestling, it's not all just, oh, I'm going to suplex this bigger guy so he'll jump. If I want to be able to suplex one of these people, I've got to be able to suplex this person. You know what I mean? And that means I've got to start working out a lot more than I do. That means I got to start everything else because it doesn't look good and it doesn't make sense to pull this stuff off on bigger people if you can't actually pull it off. And the last thing I'd want is to be somebody my size trying to suplex somebody at 6'3" and they have to jump and help me into it. You know what I mean? So Taz was big for that because he was small, but he was also just built and he'd just chuck you around. Like I loved that.
I remember watching him against Bam Bam Bigelow, and he would lift Bam Bam Bigelow up like he was nothing. You know,
and that's exactly it. Yeah. And that's where I want to get to now. So I've got a basement gym we got set up. It's been a crazy month for the last little bit. I got to get more into that, but that's the path I'm going to be looking at taking. Is I'm going to try to get deadlifts up. I'm going to try to get in my squats up and stuff. So when I need to, I can do this to bigger people and everything else.
Okay. And you seem to really enjoy being a heel. It's something that seems like it comes natural to you. Do you enjoy being the heel, or do you hope to be a baby face as well one day?
I like the heel stuff, but being a heel's hard, especially when like with Kaizen, we're very PG, kid friendly and everything.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be different if I just could walk out and swear at people and make fun of them, but that's not what we do. So I'm still trying to learn how to interact with the crowd to make them hate me while being a serious looking pissed off guy, and what to say, how to act, stuff like that. And so far it comes naturally. They just like making fun of me. It's I've been getting Stone Cold Steve Jobs quite a bit. I come out in the turtleneck there, so I've been getting that one, or you know, these two kids out in front screaming that I'm the boss baby and stuff like that, or Jason Statham wants his gimmick back. And it's fun because I can go out there and be a heel and keep the straight face, but I'm just sitting there biting my lip being like, oh God, don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh. That's really good. So it's a matter of, do I buy into it? Because I feel like if I was to play a character where I just came out with 2 iPhones with beers on them and smacked them together and drank them, you know, you're buying into it and you're playing with it, but they'd like that. And if you're going to be a heel, you don't want them to like it. So I wouldn't mind. Yeah.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I wouldn't mind going the face route later on, because I feel like you can still be a face, but still keep the pissed off scowl, the intensity and all that kind of stuff. Almost like your character's a punishment instead of just a bad guy. You know, some heels out there being an idiot, and then the music hits and out comes Taz, or out comes like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I noticed I was it the tag team match, or it might have been another match. You were getting into it with a kid, and you were going back and forth with the kid. Do you remember that? Or
Yeah,
yeah,
there's two kids that come to our shows quite often, and they're awesome. They just like to get involved and yell and scream at you and
yeah.
call you names and stuff. And they've been there enough to know that I can yell right back at them, get right in their face, and they love it. And that's fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look like you're having a great time when you're going back and forth with the kids. So, like I
Yeah.
said, being a heel comes natural to you. So I think you're doing a great job. Just keep up the great work, man.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
My pleasure. My
Working on
pleasure.
it.
My pleasure.
I'm going to be hanging out with a few other Healy types in the next little bit, just to try to. Wrestling's a huge learning experience. You never really
Yeah.
stop with it. And I've only been doing it a year, so I don't mean that to sound like I know what I'm talking about, but just to come over and hang out and shoot the shit on ideas of, okay, well, as a heel in this kind of character, what can we be doing to what works for this, what everything else, you know? And that's a big thing too with the scene around here is everybody's seems really, really helpful. Everyone, like Kaizen, everyone's a sweetheart there. Absolutely everybody, you know, and I've made friends in the other organizations too. Like people genuinely just seem to like wrestling and they like seeing each other succeed, really.
So are you getting booked on other shows besides Kaizen?
So right now, no, and it's
Okay.
not for any reason. It's I've got a
Okay.
pretty busy job to begin with,
Okay,
Monday to
okay.
Friday, and
Okay.
on weekends is when I have my son. He's just upstairs playing PlayStation now, but
Okay.
where I only see him a couple days a week, it's hard for me to justify. Oh, hang on, there it goes. It's hard for me to justify going out to a show that might eat up an entire Saturday, meaning I only see my little guy
No.
Friday night and Sunday, you know?
Sure.
So I've been asked, but I'm just like, I can't right now.
No, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah,
And you say you have a couple of dogs. What kind? Just out of curiosity, what kind of dogs do you have?
Where
Are
are they?
Yeah, where are the pups? Where are the pups?
Ayla.
Let's get them on the
A golden
podcast.
retriever named Ayla. Hang on
Oh,
here. Where
golden
are you?
retrievers are awesome.
Oh, she's fantastic. She's a big old sook. Here she is.
They're highly intelligent dogs. Yeah.
Hi, Ayla. Hi, baby. Yeah, that's Ayla here. She's almost a year old now. She's one of the biggest sooks on the planet, which is nice.
She's a cutie. She's a cutie.
Oh, yeah. And no, my other doggy's probably just upstairs taking a nap on her bed.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
He's a Nova Scotia Ducktail or Golden Retriever mix. He's
Okay.
He's 10 now.
Okay.
And yeah, I've had him, well, obviously for 10 years now or so.
Sure.
But he's my
Sure.
best friend. We do a lot together and everything else.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so back to the wrestling.
Yep.
Glad we had a little cameo there from the dog. Covey, let's talk about Covey for a second. Covey is the Kaizen Pro Wrestling heavyweight champion. Is that a title you like to have around your waist? And I know Justine Ward had a shot. Would you like to get your shot at the title?
It's a hard one, to be honest. It's how could I word this? I would love it,
Okay.
but not right now.
Okay.
My own confidence in myself, it's, you know I'm not terrible, but I want to get my cardio up. I want to get all of these things up. So when I do get a chance at that world title, it's going to be the best friggin' banger I could possibly put on.
Okay.
I would absolutely love to, because Covey and I in training have done some pretty cool stuff together that I think people would love. And it's it'd be an absolute dream come true to try that. Like from a fan point as well, like from everything else, it'd be like a dream to be able to say I'm the champion of this whole organization. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
As a wrestler, it's nerve-wracking as hell to even think about that.
Well,
It's
well, let's see. Ian Pratt, Kaizen Pro Wrestling heavyweight champion. That has a nice ring to it.
Yeah, Pratt rolls off the tongue, especially when you're pissed off too. Like I found that. Bosses at work have found that too. But yeah, no, I would absolutely, like, I'm super stoked for the idea of Covey and I having a match, and it's going to happen because Covey's just running through all the students and stomping us into oblivion. And it's, I can't wait to get stomped into oblivion, but hopefully I'll stomp back a bit. Covey's so good and so everything that he'll match whoever's style. Like his match with Justine was just, it was awesome. Like, we're up in the rafters watching it, and it's just fantastic. I'm excited for that, like super excited. But I want to make sure I can give Covey the match that Covey knows he can get from me. You know what I mean?
Sure. Are there other titles? I know you said it's hard for you to get on other shows, but are there other titles that you would eventually want to go after in the Maritimes?
I'm not sure. Out of character kind of deal. I'm not sure, especially with the way my character is now. Is there a goal to go after the title? Like, you want the title, it's everything else like that. But I'm more of a henchman as of right now, if that makes sense. Like, I'm the bodyguard type, I'm the henchman, I'm the guy that goes out and does your dirty work type stuff.
Yeah.
So if the character was to change and evolve, then yeah, absolutely, it'd be great. Like, but all things in the future. Like, I'm still trying to figure out what exactly I'm even doing, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. So
Yeah.
you're the henchman for hire then. I guess.
Basically, that's the
Okay.
idea. Yeah.
Okay. So if I need help, if I need help with like somebody, I can hire you and you'll
Just
come
come
bail
out
me
and
out. You'll come bail
chop
me
the
out.
soul right out of them. Yeah, that'll be great.
I
No,
don't know.
we,
I got a greaser's. He's harassing me. I might need your help, a greaser, man. I'm kidding. He's not harassing me.
you just got to pay more than he does, and we'll be good to go.
Okay, there we go. There we go.
Yeah.
He could probably pay more than I can, so we'll leave it at that. One of my favorite matches of yours. I've been watching your matches before we did this. Draven MacDonald. I thought that was a terrific match. So your thoughts on that one, and your thoughts on Draven MacDonald, and are we getting a rematch? Because I thought that was a great match.
So we're almost definitely going to get a rematch. So
Okay.
I have an issue with a rib where I actually, on one of the judo throws he did, it kind of frigged with that a bit. Nothing he did wrong. They teach you to breathe out when you hit a mat, and over a year and a half into training, and I still forget that so often.
Mm-hmm.
So I was, I wouldn't say gassed, but I was frigged, like, right pretty early into the match, but we kept it going, which was great. And I've been wanting a rematch ever since then, because I know what we can do. The match was fun in itself. Draven can just throw me around, like, makes me look like I weigh nothing. His technique and everything that he does is so good. And I like that too, because the idea of, like, he's just going to out technique me, and I just got to turn into, all right, time to punch and chop and kick and keep this friggin' judo god down, right? You know what I can't wait for that rematch. It's going to be coming too, because we both expressed we want to do that. We don't know when it will, but yeah, I had a blast at that match. I got to the back and I was like, oh man, that was pretty rough. Nothing he did, just my own personal injury that I have.
Sure.
And I still had a blast at it, even though that. And he's good enough that he's like, all right, like, let's just go through this now. And he kind of led it after that too, because I was like, oh, I'm not feeling great.
Yeah, that was a terrific match. And also, I want to talk about that scramble match. I know we mentioned a little earlier. One of the best matches I've seen in a very long time. And I can't believe it was your first match, Justine Ward's first match. The crowd was chanting, "This is awesome! This is awesome!" You must have been on cloud nine after that match, because that scramble match was just fantastic.
I absolutely was. Like, we got to the back there and we were just like shaking, all of us. Like, it was just so much fun. It was everything else. The crowd was crazy into it.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, I can't really put it into words. Like, that was the feeling that I wanted to do this for. Like, the way they reacted to everything else, it was exactly what I pictured the feeling of it would be coming back after a match. And it's like chasing a dragon. Like, that's what I've been looking for ever since, is that one. You know what I mean? I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to Covey after I watched it, and Covey was like, a lot of the guys in the match, it was their first match, and I was like, that's impossible, Covey. He goes, no, it was he said it was Justine's first match. It was your first match. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's like you guys have been wrestling for such a long time, but just fantastic. Hopefully they'll get all you together again, and we'll have another scramble match with all you guys, because it was just fantastic, man. I can't say that enough.
I think it sounds like a fun idea too, because when they put it to a poll, that scramble match won for Kaizen Match of the Year, which blew us away, because we're like a bunch of new people and we just got Match of the Year. So I love the idea of like an anniversary, like, where are they now? And all of us come back into the scramble, just because people's styles have changed, their outfits have changed, everything else. And yeah, scrambles are a lot of fun. Like, they're a lot of fun. There's just so many different ways I can almost kill myself. It's
Yeah, no, like I said, I didn't know it won match of the year, so congratulations on that. Well deserved, well deserved. A fantastic, fantastic match. Who are some of the opponents? I know you mentioned Mya Malek was a dream opponent, but who are some other opponents that you would like to face? It doesn't have to be just in Kaizen. It could be Impact Wrestling. It could be WWE. It could be AEW. It could be Japan. Is there anybody that you would like to get in the ring with?
That's a hard one, to be honest, because most of the
Okay.
people that I think about this stuff too are people that are from around Kaizen and the Maritime
Okay.
Wrestling and stuff like this.
Well, it
It's
could be Kaizen and Maritimes as well. So
oh yeah, no, no,
anybody,
no,
anybody.
no. There's people that I'd love to have matches with. Like a good example is myself and Daniel Wall or Peter McDade.
Yeah.
We always have a lot of fun when we go in there and practice and we roll around, we frig around quite a lot. It's just he's like a quicker version with me. He does some really cool stuff. I love selling for him. I think we could put on an absolute banger for that. There's Justin Moyer, who's just a bigger version of me. He's taller. He's everything else. He's suplexed me around lots of times. Like,
Yeah.
I like the idea behind. I really enjoy thinking of what people's styles are like and how you make them work with each other and how you can tell the story that way. And I can't really say for Dream. I can't really say for Dream opponent right now too, because when I think about somebody like just say Kurt Angle back, he put out a thing recently which was like, I'm not going to do the match because I'm not as young as I am and I'm aware of this and I can't wrestle like I used to. Kurt Angle in his prime would be an absolute dream, but at the same time, I'm like, I couldn't hang with him. You know what I mean? And that kind of thinking does kind of bring it down sometimes, but then it's just a matter of I'll get to hang with him. I can get better to the point where you can for that. If it was a dream match, it would have been Kurt Angle, like
Okay.
through just for him to have that kind of stuff. So he had a lot of his suplex and throws, but I like throwing in a lot of strikes now too. I've been working on those quite a bit. Oh man, it'd be a dream to chop Kurt Angle, like chop the soul right out of him. My girlfriend actually, just for my birthday on June 27th there, she got me this amazing picture box where as you pulled the lid off, these pictures would fall down. You could see them. And at the very end of it was a QR code. When I scanned it, it was a birthday message from Kurt Angle from Cameo. Wow. And it was just the coolest, most thoughtful gift I've ever gotten.
That must have been awesome. Yeah. I have an opponent that I think you would, I think would make a good match for you. Okay. I'm going to name the opponent. You tell me what you think. I think you versus JP Sims. You versus JP Sims will be a fantastic match.
I think that too, because JP is, he's such a vet in like every sense of the word I can think of. I can't even explain this. He's so good at the crowd. He can go out there and talk for 5 minutes and they'll never be bored. Then he has a match and then he just puts on bangers. Like the things he can do, his match with just like AJ Styles. JP's fantastic. And he's one of the people when I try to think of how it would go, like as far as styles or character work goes, it stumps me because I'm just like, he's like I don't know. Like it would be so much fun to try to put that together and figure out how to do it. And he would be able to tell me right here, this is how it's going to go because he's that good. I've wanted to do that with JP Sims for a while too. Like,
he's a great talent. Great talent, JP Sims. Yeah.
And it's, I have a lot of fun selling too. And JP's got some stuff that we could just make look like I'm dead. And that's one of my favorite parts of wrestling is when people have certain moves, I can just try to sell the absolute ass off of it. And I love it. I really do.
Well, hopefully it'll happen soon enough. I think that'll be a great one. Just getting a message here. We're running short on time, so I'm going to ask you one more question, then I'll let you plug anything you want to plug. What are the short-term and long-term goals for you in professional wrestling?
Short-term goals, get that cardio up so I can put it on like a 20-minute straight of just me and somebody beating the piss out of each other. Because that's my ideal character is me just being able to go and go and go and just like a fight for 15 minutes or so. Long-term would be, I don't know. I'm doing this for fun and for love. This is the most fun I've had. I've wanted to do this since I was a kid. So I can't tell you where I'd love to see myself in 5 years, but I think realistically, I'd want to be the kind of wrestler that other people want to wrestle. To be like, oh, like I love the crowd, I love the fans, but I'd love to be the kind of wrestler that other wrestlers are like, oh, I want to have a match with him.
You want to get signed by a major promotion like Impact Wrestling or MLW or NXT or AEW?
I honestly, so my career has kept me away from home quite a lot in my life. Like I've gone on 9-month trips and everything else. I'm not going to say I'd never say no to that, but I'm pretty happy with just the local scene, to be completely honest. Like getting signed to Impact or something, getting to wrestle for Impact would be absolutely insane. But I don't know at this time right now if I've got it in me to travel around as much as we'd need to and everything else. And so I'm not sure. That sounds maybe a bit weird, but with my son here, who I've already missed a lot of his life and everything else, I'm just kind of taking it day by day, and I get to do what I love here in Halifax. And I wouldn't mind traveling a bit, but to be a full-time wrestler, I don't know. I'm not sure right now.
Okay, fair enough. Before we wrap this up, is there anything you want to plug? Any social media? Yeah, is there an Ian Pratt T-shirt coming out? If there is, I will definitely buy one. But anything you want to plug away.
Don't have much to plug, but if you ever get a chance, Mya Malek and both Tina Babineau both have some pretty good stuff they put up on YouTube there, and it should be pretty easy to find. Mya Malek's got her vlog she's been putting up. They're absolutely great. Tina's got some interviews. She just did recently one with Justine, and we're looking at doing some shows in the future of just goofy skits, me jumping off a bridge into the water and stuff like that. Keep your eyes open for that. But no, they're two people that make this whole scene infinitely better just by being around. So yeah, give them a shot and keep checking out Kaizen. All of our shows right now are up on IWTV, and that's it.
Oh, definitely check out the shows. IWTV, Kaizen Pro Wrestling. If you're watching this interview, definitely check out Kaizen Pro Wrestling. Great promotion. IWTV. It's like less than $10 a month, and you get not just Kaizen, you get so much more content down there. And I've been watching Mya Malek's vlog as well. It's very, very entertaining. So she's hilarious. She's freaking hilarious, man.
One of my turtlenecks I put through the dryer, which I shouldn't have. So now it's the size of a Mya Malek.
Okay.
So we're talking about doing a skit where she needs to get more serious. So she puts on his turtleneck and just starts yelling and screaming and looking angry. We'll see if that makes it up there.
Okay, I'll keep my eyes out for that one. But Ian, thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure having you on. I think you're a tremendous talent. I think basically, I think you can do whatever you want in the world of professional wrestling. I see the talent from your first match until the match I saw, the tag team match in the last show. You do a great job. Keep up the great work, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck in the future.
Thank you very much, buddy. You too. I appreciate you having me on.
And anytime you want to come back, just let me know, and we can do this again.
Perfect. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, man. Take care. Have a good rest of the weekend.
You too. Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.